13 minutes on our side. 30 minutes on our side differently differences itself with the definite understanding whether it's a very 2 day thing. Every single day would have been much better. The plantation of the things, the watering haven't been done for 2 days, so that might give some documentation to talk about. A probability of the same ways that the informations are being put or being transferred from one position to another will be much more different than what it is from the past. So whatever it is from the past, it have to be described in a certain way is to alignment teleports top post what will be the only made catchphrase on the what to the runway, which will be the same member, which will be the same when it's talked about as 9 times 60, which means the calculation for the whole thing would be a definite cataclysm of a whole another level of thinking. Whether the positional value of a certain thing would be different is the difference between this and that, whether it is the same or not. At the end, it will be the differences of the flow, whether the viscous understanding of a certain temperature would be different or not. In the fields of the working, the departments will be subliminally uh, desensitized in a very descriptive and dissected way, and it would be giving a very nice visualization of a representation that can be used for the future later on to be behold in a certain value of numerical conglomerates. Now, the understanding of the backtracking situation gives us a very good idea of the quality, being that whether it's a representation of a very long, large resolution, technologically speaking, or besides that, if it is possible with the manual way of doing a design by hand, manually done, it would be much more effortive and much more looking more on the transparent basis of things rather than being very much technical with stuff. Is very easy to be copying around with the thing. The ultimate nature of non-plagiarizing would be much more better if it is done with a pencil on a paper, and it would be giving a very nice definition of how much dedication was being put upon it, whether the ethics or the certain situations of the whole factor is being kept upon. It would be a definite nature to even think to certain status of being a different nature of thing. Now, as it's being beholded upon, it gives a nice nature of the sort of factor that gives a whole another factor of uh, you know and the natural factual fallacies that has its own self. When it has its own self, it have to be put from certain sources. Only those certain numbers will be picked upon from the certain arrays, and only those datas of informations will be followed upon. And when it's followed upon, it would be a definite factorization for the basis of whether it's right or wrong. And the right and wrong will be judged upon the boolean. The boolean will be the zeros and ones, whether it's true or false. Depending on that, it will be giving the technical basis of whether it's going to work or not. Now, whether the loss is happening on a third person speaking point of view, it can be said that this might be a whole another circle of things that will be working upon into that certain consequence of things. When it is already over, it doesn't really matter, but what matters is the certain knowledge being gained from the certain point. But there is a huge loss for sure, like an 80% to 90%, almost 100%, because that 1 year loss for that whole factor of stocks trading and the losses and profit would be a very definite way of keeping it calm throughout the process and throughout the system. The systematic basis of it will be very much on a full stop. Now, the very end nature of whether it's a very definite uh, programming coding possibility would be those certain blocks, those certain like keys, those certain keywords being used for it to be a fulfillment of a statement, for it to be satisfactory as much as it can be, and to be more on the behind the scenes point of view, it have to be actually much more naturalized with the whole habituality of coding, and the coding contains with Java and others too.